Welcome to Equipping Leaders, a podcast where I share tools and perspectives to equip leaders in self-development and team connection. I am your host, Natasha, and I am excited to share today's episode with you. In today's episode, I talk about the Self-Leadership Compass, a tool I developed to guide leaders on their leadership journey to add perspective to the arcs that we endure along the way. I have been fortunate enough to have an amazing leadership journey that has molded me into a better leader and a better person overall. As I share the different elements of the Self-Leadership Compass, I will share some of my stories with you, and I hope that you will share your leadership stories with me as well. The Self-Leadership Compass is a compass because leadership is a journey, and there are many different things that we encounter along the way. No two leadership journeys look alike, even if both individuals ended up in the same place. If you and I are both traveling to New York City, with you coming from Atlanta, Georgia, and me coming from San Diego, California, our trips will look very different. You will have more of a northbound trip, and I will have more of a northeastbound trip. There are obstacles and landscapes for us to overcome that look very different. As we move through our leadership journey, there will be different things that we focus on, depending on where we're trying to go. There are times when our work is internal and times when it is external. Each area deserves focus, but it is not realistic to try to work on all things at once. You cannot go north and south at the same time. The Self-Leadership Compass has four main directions. North represents nourish, which is our capacity to encourage, develop, and cultivate other people. South represents self-awareness, or our conscious knowledge of our own character, motives, feelings, and actions. East represents eudaimonia, which is essentially a feeling of contentment or a mindset and feeling of being happy, prosperous, and healthy. West represents work, which is the effort that you put into yourself and into others. When you look at these four directions, you can see that one cannot go in all these directions at once. We are in the center of that compass, and we can stretch to where we need to and change direction and go back and forth, but you cannot do all things at once. It is also valuable to understand that the path people are walking is different. In our own leadership journey, we are traveling towards a destination, and it may have been difficult, much like an intense hike up a steep hill where there is rock scrambling involved. But since then, the path may have been made easier, and maybe now it's more of a trail or even a paved road. Things can also change in the opposite way. Something that was easier could have been made more difficult. Our experience makes us more or less able to walk through certain experiences with ease or difficulty. Think of it like hiking. When we have less repetition with certain tasks, projects, or types of people, it's like being a new hiker. When you attempt rock scrambling or more intense or long hikes, you struggle along the way and you're exhausted at the end, and you're likely very sore the following day. But the more you do it, the stronger you become. Leadership is the same. It never gets easier. You just get better at it because you become stronger. I will continue to share more details about the Self-Leadership Compass and how you can leverage it over the coming months. It is also the basis of my upcoming book, The Self-Leadership Compass, coming fall 2022. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Equipping Leaders podcast. For more leadership development content, you can visit my website, natashacheyenne.com, where you will find my leadership journal with dozens of articles and the Cultivation Cafe, which is always growing and has leadership frameworks, book recommendations, and inclusion and mental health resources. You can also follow me on Instagram at novel_Natasha or at Equipping Leaders Podcast, and on Twitter at Natasha Cheyenne. Join me next week for another episode.